Hey, welcome to episode 72 of the Gig Life podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. Before we kick off my chat with Dane Laboyrie, I want to give a quick shout out. A couple of weeks ago, I asked for some help with tidying up the Gig Life podcast logo and some other graphic stuff to make it look a little bit more professional and also give me a few different file types and that kind of thing. My graphics knowledge isn't very good. So my friend Iwi put me on to the team over at Raptor Signs in Castle Hill. Man, they nailed it, man. As well as graphics, they do design, signage, as well as vehicle wraps and graphics. So big thank you to Aeron and the team at Raptor Signs. That's raptorsigns.com.au. Go check them out. Links in the show notes. Okay, episode 72, Dane Laboyrie. Here we go.
One second mind, the next you're through. One second mind, the next you're through. Yeah.
My guest today is Sydney trumpeter and vocalist Dane Laboyrie. For a young man, Dane already has one heck of a resume. He's played with James Morrison, the Cat Empire, the Potbellez, Hugh Jackman, Tim Minchin, Noel Gallagher, Taylor Swift, 5 Seconds of Summer and heaps more, as well as theatre productions like Disney's Aladdin, Fidler on the Roof, Wicked, amongst others. Dane has his own jazz quartet as well as the horn section, which is made up of some of the most talented and experienced young musicians in Australia. And that has quickly become the go-to for local and international touring artists. In this chat, we talked about his extremely busy 2019. I asked heaps of trumpet-related questions, and did you know you actually need teeth to play the trumpet? Who knew? Dane also tells some stories about his life and some of the international gigs he's been a part of. As you'll hear, Dane takes everything in his stride and head on. Super chill dude that can turn it up to 11 when he needs to. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for this legendary local blower, Dane Laboyrie. Cheers.
Surprise to someone else. You're just a trophy on his shelf. I hate to say I told you so, that I told you so. Now you're giving me those eyes, just like the devil in disguise. Forbidden fruit is never free, so sweet, but you missed the boat with me.
All right, I think we're rolling.
All right, rolling.
Dane Laboyrie.
How you going?
Good. Welcome to the Gig Life podcast.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. I just want to start with a post that you put up the start of this year, and it was your 2019.
Yep.
So here's some fun facts about 2019. So 3 Aussie New Zealand tours, 240 performances, 19 recording sessions, 46 flights, 37 hotels, God knows how much tequila, God knows how much catering, God knows how many kebabs.
Pensioner's leg.
Yes. 1 missed lobby call. Sorry, Greg. 1 missed flight, longest day ever. Happy New Year. Mate, that's a hell of a year.
It was a massive year.
Right.
It was, I think, possibly the biggest one I've had.
Right.
And yeah.
Probably take some topping too, eh?
Oh, yeah. Because I've definitely come back to earth since then and sort of prepared myself for going back to normality, I guess.
Yeah, so the last tour that you did was you were playing in Noel Gallagher's band as a support act for U2 on the Joshua Tree tour.
Correct, yeah. For Australia and New Zealand.
For Australia and New Zealand, that's massive.
It was huge. Yeah.
Can I ask how that comes about?
Yeah, so basically I got an email from the trombone player from Noel's band, who writes the charts, and he's been in it for years, maybe 10, 15 years or something. And he just kind of cold emailed me through my website and then basically said, here's what we're doing. Are you free? And obviously I thought, oh, yeah, look, check the diary. Yeah. I'll get back to you.
Did you know it was with U2 at that stage? Or
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
right.
He laid it all out and I was like, shit, this is huge.
Yeah, you clear the diary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I'm in Bali sipping on a tequila and something by the pool, and I get this email. I'm like, right, okay, snap out of it, and had to check all the dates. And obviously it's a tough one because I've never liked cancelling things.
Yeah.
When I've got things locked in with people, and I still stand by that. I don't like to cancel things, but obviously when something massive comes up like this, the first thing I do is get in touch with any.
And generally those people would understand, yeah?
Definitely, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think because I don't cancel many gigs on people, they appreciate that. So I just call everyone up and really honest and go, look, this has come up. It's huge, and everyone's always been really, really cool, which thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Actually, it was pretty funny. One of the corporate covers sort of wedding bands that I work for, the White Tree Band, when I told Tuddy, who runs that and owns it, he goes, oh, man, that's so funny because for like 4 years we actually had in the contract that, you'll get the musicians you request for your wedding, and there was conditions, and one of which was if one of our band members gets asked to tour with you too.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be in the contract.
No way.
I said, man, you got to dig it out. That's too funny.
That's crack up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was pretty mind-blowing, and so I just sort of made sure that it was going to be cool with everyone and wrote back and said I was good to go. And so it was me and Carl Mackey, a sax player from Melbourne, who I'd never met before. But yeah, we got along real quick. It was great.
That's cool. We'll talk a little bit more about that tour a bit later.
Yeah.
Did you know you are the first horns or brass instrument player I've had on the podcast?
Well, I didn't.
And I'd like to apologise for that.
Oh, that's all right. Gordo, you and Gordo took up all the tape.
Yeah. I posted something up the other day, and your friend Eamon Dilworth sent me a message saying, "Oh, I hope you can get some brass horns guys on there soon."
Yeah, he'd be a great one to get too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So actually, I'm talking to Dane in a couple of days. So
yeah, we always get mistaken for each other. We're like,
is that right?
Yeah, doppelgangers. He's a good guy to get to depth for me because everyone thinks we're each other anyway.
Is that right?
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's as we do, we roll it back to the beginning and how it all started. And so you were born in Sydney?
I was. Yeah, I was born in Sutherland Hospital.
Yep.
And grew up in the Sutherland Shire, where I still live at the moment. And as I mentioned, sort of looking to get out of there at the moment.
Yep.
Looking to buy a house or apartment.
Yep.
And,
musical family?
No one
at all.
None. Well, I think my grandma played a little bit of organ or whatever, but nothing serious in the family. Kind of a bolt out of the blue in that regard. Right.
And did you start playing trumpet at 8 years old? Is that right? Did I read that right?
Yeah, about that.
It
all started with a didgeridoo.
Right.
And a trip to Cairns.
I've got a didge there. It's over the back there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
We might dig it out later.
Crack it out later.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. That'd be cool.
But yeah, I would have been in kindergarten, and something happened at home where my brother couldn't have a birthday party because mum was pregnant. I had a little sister or something. So my aunties took us, me and my brothers, on a bit of a holiday to Cairns or whatever. And we all got some spending money brothers got normal things, toys and kids stuff. And I was like, oh, I know what I want to get, because we'd just been to the Daintree markets and I was frothing on Indigenous culture. We just saw all these, displays, and they were playing didges, and I learned all about it. And I was like, I'm getting a didgeridoo, which I don't think I had anywhere near enough money for it. But my aunties were like, oh, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I really want it. And they're like, well, it's going to cost a bit more. So you really, really sure? I was like, yeah. So they got one for me and one for my granddad, and flew back, and we learned how to play them together when I was in kindy. I kind of took it in for show and tell. Could do the circular breathing and everything. And,
oh, cool.
And the school principal ran the band. So I think my kindy teacher went, I got this little blonde kid who can play didgeridoo.
So you were doing the circular breathing back at kindy?
Yeah, I'd kind of half worked it out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I couldn't do it for very long. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, and from there, the school principal kind of said, hey, bring your didge along to training band. You know, you obviously just saw that I kind of had a vibe, and so I took my didge along and played along with the band, and then that turned into just, go pick up percussion, do whatever you want, and I just kind of make stuff up. My mum was like, what do you mean he plays percussion? He can't read music or anything. And the principal just said, well, it sounds good when he does it, so I just kind of let him go. He's got time about him, so yeah, that's where it all kind of started, and then developed from there. Obviously, I got more and more interested in it and really loved going to band. Like, I love that. I remember I really dug the community thing. Like, it blew my mind that, like, oh, wow, all these people get together at one time and do all these random different things, and then it just sounds awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So then, Mum and Dad sort of looked at piano lessons and things like that. But yeah.
Did you do piano?
I did. I had this great, wonderful piano teacher, Heather Mullins, like the sweetest old lady you've ever met, lived around the corner from me, and I used to go every week, and I think I probably talked for half our lessons, but I loved it and just loved hanging out and playing, and probably learnt off her till about year 7.
Right.
But picked up a trumpet in year 3 when everyone got instruments in the band. Principal sort of handed me one and said, see what you can do with this.
Right. I don't know if I've told this story, but my first instrument was piano as well. And I had there was this old lady at the end of our street, Mrs. Gold, and she was the mother of our family lawyer. She would have been 80-odd, really bad arthritis in her hands.
My piano teacher had really bad arthritis. Yeah.
But the thing that blew me away, like she lived in this, there was 3 houses joined together up this sort of laneway. She was right at the back, this really small house. And I swear they must have built that house around her grand piano that was in her lounge room.
Yeah, no way to get it in.
How the hell did you get it in? They must have built the house, got a crane, dropped it in, and built the roof. Seriously.
They probably did back then.
They probably did, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I've told that before. Anyway.
That's a good story.
There you go. All right, so how long? Oh, you did piano up until?
Probably about sort of. I really love going. I probably didn't practice enough. Like I dug playing, and
that's the thing.
I'd sort of work. Yeah,
it's hard work, man.
I'd work some things out. Like I'd hear a song on the radio and try and work it out. But yeah, I didn't practice enough. But I really love the whole playing music thing. Just didn't want to do the hard yards.
Yeah,
but that came later.
So when did the horn come along?
About year 3. So when the principal gave me the horn, and I joined the training band with everyone else.
Right.
Again, wasn't much of a practicer, if I'm honest, and probably not particularly talented in any way at the trumpet. I wasn't very good. And then I think the next year everyone else went up to the next band, and I don't think I was going to move up because I wasn't really cutting it. I think Mum sort of spoke to the principal and said, oh, you know, he wants to go with the rest of his mates. What do we need to do? And he said, maybe get some lessons outside of school. Mm-hmm. And this new trumpet teacher, Don Callahan, had just arrived at the school to do private tuition. So I went with him, and like the one-on-one lessons really worked for me. That's when I just became obsessed and got really into it. And he was great as well. And, you know, started wanting to practice and wanting to know everything about trumpet, and was obsessed with James Morrison, and got my own trumpet. And then it was all, the rest was his, like once that kind of bit was all over.
Was there anyone else but James Morrison that was inspiring you, influences? Like, were you like Miles at that stage, or?
No, not at that. No, probably just
Marcellus. Who else? Dizzy Gillespie. Did you want that blowing up cheek? You know, like Dizzy Gillespie.
No, it was more. I think it was James in primary school, and then once I got to high school, you know, my ears opened, and there was another very, very influential couples teachers who I met in high school. A lot of luck in my story.
Yeah, right.
I feel like I
That's cool.
had a lot of really very fortunate experiences, and people who I crossed to led to me being able to do this.
Yeah, that's
very fortunate. Yeah,
that's cool. When did you? When you said you were obsessed with James Morrison, had you met him at that stage?
No.
Okay,
I just knew of him.
You heard him.
Yeah, heard him play. And
yeah.
I think my trumpet teacher at the time showed me a few videos or things, and you know.
But you've ended up playing with him, eh?
Yeah, a
That's
couple
great.
times. Yeah,
that's awesome. How was that?
Pretty funny. The first time, I think it was a bit of a messed with my head a bit. I was like, oh, wow, because that was the first time in high school. I think I was in year 7. It was one of those moments you never forget. You know, it's like one of those life-changing moments I remember in full detail. And then the next time I was like, well, this is pretty cool, because I remember having the thought process in year 7 or whenever it was of going like, oh, man, I really want to do this one day. Like, it would be so good to just imagine getting to play with this guy every day. That'd be amazing. Yeah. And so when it finally happens, you're like, oh, full circle, huh?
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit of a head fuck.
Yeah. When did the contemporary aspect of your trumpet playing come into it? Because you're pretty known for that now, I think.
Yeah.
You definitely play trumpet in the mainstream, and especially with the acts that you play for, and you know that the club DJ thing, like everything. That's cool. The Potbellez type stuff. When did you start seeing a trumpet as an instrument that you could start doing that kind of stuff?
Well, I think so. High school, that was a big thing. My local high school wasn't really that musical, and obviously by the end of year 6 I had this passion, and my parents were always really supportive of me and all my siblings. Actually, I've got 2 older brothers and a younger sister, and we all do really different things, but everyone is like loves what they do and is really good at it, sort of thing.
But you're the only musician?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I went to this high school out of area because it had this incredible music program, went to a music night and was just sitting there on the edge of my seat like, whoa, that's the first time I've ever heard a big band and they were playing this Cuban salsa music, right? I was sitting there in the hall going, this is where I want to be. I want to go to this place and I want to do that. And at that point, I don't think I kind of forgot it was a school, you know. I was just like, I want to do that. That's sick.
I want to go to that party.
Yeah, definitely. And so I did. I went to Kirrawee High School, where some incredible musicians have come out of, the likes of Emma Bask and Evan Manel, many others. And the music director there was another one of these special people that I've come across who was just exceptional at his job and really giving and such a great influence on all his students, you know. And I remember I got there and did all the normal junior bands and stuff and went home to Mum and she's like, oh, how's school? Yeah, good. And I knew about this James Morrison concert coming up, right? I'm very aware. And I remember I said to Mum, oh, it's all good, you know. I really want to be in the top band, you know. I want to play with James. And she was like, oh, well, you know, you might have to wait your time. And I was like, oh, I really want to be I want to be in that one. You know, they're playing all this cool Cuban stuff. Like, I want to do that. And she gave some of the best advice. She said, oh, well, just practice really hard and keep practicing as much as you can and hopefully maybe someone will notice and you never know, you know. And so I did. At like recess and lunch, I'd go and practice in the music room and I'd like downloaded some James Morrison songs off Google or whatever, and I was trying to learn the crap out of them. And the music teacher heard me practicing at recess one day, came in and was like, hey, who are you? Like, oh, I'm Dane, nice to meet you. He's like, cool. What are you doing? Oh, just practicing some James Morrison. He's like, I can see that. And then he went, well, nice to meet you. Nothing much of it. And then a few days later, he bumped into me in the playground. He goes, hey, you want to come along to our Monday band practice, the senior stage band? I thought, oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. So I just went along and sat on 4th trumpet and probably missed more notes than I played. And I think he was just sussing out, you know, whether or not I'd fit in. And then after about a month of going to those rehearsals, he said, how would you feel about doing the James Morrison concert with us? I was like, oh, man, I'll check my diary. No, I was like, man, that'd be incredible. And he goes, how'd you feel about doing a solo with him up the front? And I was like, oh, yeah. I've always been like a go-get-em, like whatever, all or nothing kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
That didn't sound scary to me. That was like, yeah, let's do it. That sounds sick.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that all happened. And that was obviously when I played with James for the first time. I went out the front in year 7 and, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I remember everything about it but nothing at all as well. It's one of those moments where you're like,
yep.
It just kind of happens, and then you're back in your seat up the back and you're not really sure how you got there. It's mental. But, yeah, that's when that started. And that music teacher, Anthony, I think he instilled that thing of, like, we're playing Cuban music and big band and Count Basie and Sinatra, and we're doing covers like Little River Band, like playing all this different, and
Right.
he'd give me all kinds of stuff. I'd walk past his office and be like, "Oi, Dano, here, take these home." And there'd be like Chet Baker and Dizzy Gillespie, and then like a Louis CD, and then this great big band album, Michelle Camillo, like just such a range.
Yeah.
And it was all, you know, I'd find my favorite bits on every album, you know. And so I think that's where that started. I've always been just into all music.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never just like, oh, I just want to do jazz. Like,
Yeah, well, that I think that just shows with the different stuff, the variety of stuff that you do.
like you said before, it's all just a big party to me. I want to get it. I just want to get on it. It's
That's
like,
wicked, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah, that's really cool. Did you finish high school?
I did. I
Yep.
stayed an extra year.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a thing called Pathways. So
Okay.
I was doing a lot of playing at that time. I think outside of school, I was doing 3 brass bands, a concert band, and then in school, the 2 big bands, the concert band, wind orchestra. So like a lot of playing and loving it. But it got further into school and I had to start dropping a few things because it was getting a bit intense. But in year 12, an older trumpet player was like, I was doing these sort of Latin gigs during the week at Bankstown RSL till 1 a.m. and falling asleep in class and stuff. So I made a decision that I really wanted to go to the conservatorium to study jazz at this point. And I decided I would prefer to stay an extra year at school and keep doing all the music because that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to be as good at it as possible and just do more of it. Like I said, it's just a big party. I want to do as much of it as possible. And then, but also aware that I needed certain marks and grades and whatnot to get into Sydney University. So I made that decision. Plus school was, I mean, Kirrawee was a bit of a party hanging out with that music teacher and in those bands. And like I went to Cuba twice while I was at that school playing salsa music.
Who does that?
Oh,
Who gets to do that?
what high school teacher convinces the government it's a good idea to take it? It's amazing.
What high school teacher convinces your parents to let you go to
I know.
Cuba? What?
Well, I made them come the second time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I said, you guys got to come.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they hadn't been on a lot of holidays, probably all spent on my music tuition and
Oh,
the rest of
great.
it. So I said, you got to come. It's like another world. So they came along. It was amazing.
Right. All right. So you get into the con.
Yep. Yeah, audition for the con.
Yep. How'd you go in the audition? Do you remember what it was? I've asked drummers and guitarists how.
I think
How
I
their
played
interviews-
something really typical.
Yep.
Like maybe like Autumn Leaves or something like that.
Right.
I was probably important to note. I was always an ear player,
Okay.
so I didn't. You know, I did a lot of solos and improvising through school, but I never really knew what I was doing. But kind of heard enough to get by. And yeah, the con was the start of sort of filling in that void, I guess, to some degree. But yeah, the interview was, I think it was Judy Bailey. Craig Scott was there. And I can't remember who the other person was. Might have been Mike. No, it wouldn't be. Oh, maybe Bill Motzing. Late, great Bill Motzing. But yeah, Judy, I knew Judy already. So there was a bit of edge taken off because I played in her big band.
Okay.
Which was every Saturday in Linfield. It was like a youth big band that was kind of half, mostly uni guys and then a few younger high school guys like myself and Canellas and a few other young dudes. So yeah, I felt pretty comfortable with her there, but also she's like the most lovely, beautiful, but also the most terrifying woman in the world. If
Yeah,
you know
right.
Judy Bailey, she's like Jazz Yoda.
Jazz Yoda.
Seriously. So yeah, that was cool. And just did the audition, obviously got in, and that was the start of the next whole chapter, which is another pretty special time.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah. The con. Yeah, the con was sort of, I think that's where I really formed a lot of the connections with the music community that I was going to end up playing with.
Who was there at the time?
So you got Noel Mason, Paul Mason, Lucy Clifford, Matt Collins, other trumpet players. Oh, there's a lot. How many? There's 25 in the year. And then even more in the grade. Tim Geldens. Yeah, that's a hard question because there's so many guys.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm being overwhelmed with names now.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, a ton of heavy cats. Harry Sutherland. Mm-hmm. Actually, he might have been year below. But yeah, lots of real, like, that big band was Smoke, and the one for a couple, maybe the 2 middle years that I was there, it was really, really swinging. Like I've never played big band music that good before, I don't think.
Yeah, right.
There's been a lot of good ones, but that was particularly kicking ass, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Were you gigging?
Yeah, quite a lot. So just bits and pieces of things. I was in like this covers band that used to do Rudy Hill RSL sort of once a month on a Saturday till God knows when. And I also, not so much the first year, but then after that I put together my own little jazz trio with Paul and Noel Mason. And we got this residency at a comedy club on Park Street called the Laugh Garage. It was 4 nights a week, which is like sounded like the dream gig. It's fuck all money. I think we were getting maybe $75 each and dinner and drinks, but again, it was pretty good hang, like playing jazz standards and a few cheesy covers and just hanging out on, like, it was Wednesday to Saturday, I think. And that was a good little regular gig, sort of nutting things out. I think that worked nicely with the course for me anyway. Like, just understanding a bit more about the genre from where I was at, of a point of like having no fucking idea, really.
Yeah, right.
Only just what I heard. Like, I'd just been winging it basically.
Yeah.
But then, second year, I'm pretty sure it was second year. I started getting trumpet. I was learning off Simon Sweeney, great lead session trumpet player in Sydney, and I think he still teaches at the Con. And really, I think those lessons really kicked it up a notch for where I was at with my own technical playing and all that sort of stuff. You know, really helped me hone in and helped me understand, you know, what to work on, how to work on it, and just really taking care of business and also the professional side of things of, you know, the business.
The business,
Yeah. But he sort of asked if I'd be interested in doing this theatre show, Chorus Line, on third trumpet. And that was like another one of those, like, well, yeah, I'll check the diary. Another awesome experience. So in the orchestra, and I ended up doing that, and that was just like another genre, another foot in that door. And again, like I love that vibe as well. There was never I never didn't enjoy any of these things that I was doing. Nothing was ever a task.
Yep.
Like I still love playing musical theatre and just the whole vibe, like the part that it plays in this show. I think even that, like the first thing I thought in primary school, like, oh, look at all these people just doing random shit together and it makes this awesome thing.
Yeah.
I think I like that about theatre too. You know, you're just sitting in the pit doing your thing, and if you take the music away, it's a bit shit.
Yeah, right.
And you forget there's 20 people sitting down there playing instruments together.
Yeah, wow.
Underscoring the whole thing. So that kind of kick-started the theatre thing, and then from that on flowed probably like one theatre show every year for about 4 years.
And how long did those theatre shows run for typically?
I think that one was about 10 weeks maybe.
Okay.
And then the next one was like a smaller producer, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and I think maybe some of the older guys weren't that keen on doing it because it was a shorter run and maybe a bit cheap or whatever. But I ended up doing that with Matt Collins and the rest of the orchestra, obviously. But that really helped hone my skills too, I think, in that sense, because you're on your own. There was like, my teacher wasn't there next to me or anything like that. I was like, shit, you know, you'll take care of business. And then from that, I got asked to do Wicked, which was another huge moment, and it was just me they cut their second trumpet. It was just me on that one, and that was another like growing, because that was a bit longer. I think that was maybe, how long was that? Maybe 9 months or something. Right. That was quite a stint.
These are not the like community theatre shows. We're talking about
professional theatre.
Professional theatre, yeah.
Yeah, so this was the Capitol Theatre.
Yep.
And then there was a few others when that went. I think in that community and that scene, like when you're kind of in there, it's all pretty close and you're in there, and that led on to Anything Goes and Aladdin and a few other things.
Cool.
And then I haven't done one for a couple of years, but I just got an email yesterday about a new one coming up. So
fantastic.
just checking dates.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Clear the diary again, maybe?
Yeah,
For this
maybe.
one? Yeah, awesome.
I think so. Hopefully
You could tell me about it when we stop recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay, now when was your first gig with someone of sort of great note? Because you've done a lot of stuff. Okay, hang on. Let me ask, because you played trumpet with Cat Empire.
Yeah.
Were you part of the band or were you...
No.
Okay.
So that was a competition on YouTube that they held where you had to upload a video of you playing one of their songs.
Right.
And then whoever won got to get up and play with them at the Metro Theatre in front of a sold-out crowd.
Right.
And so I just I was frothing on the Cat Empire. I think I was in year 10, so I would have been 16.
Okay.
And I just uploaded my video and I don't know, I won the competition and then got to go and play, and I got there and we did a few rehearsals or whatever. And then Harry was like, "Oh man, it sounds good." He goes, "You should start How to Explain." That song with the big trumpet solo at the start.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, no. You sure?" Like, I knew I could play it. Obviously, I played it a million times.
Yeah.
I love the song,
Yeah.
but I was just like, "Are you sure, man? Like, that's like it's the best song on the album."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah." So I did a big open trumpet solo at the start, and that was another one of those moments where, especially I think because I was a kid and everyone knew what was going on at the competition or whatever. As soon as I started playing, I just remember the roar. The crowd was so supportive. I was just like, whoa.
That's
Just
awesome.
get whacked in your body with adrenaline. I think I was 30 centimetres off the ground.
That's awesome. It was one of the best concerts I've seen. Would have been Cat Empire at the Enmore. Would have been
15 years
11, 12 years
10,
ago, maybe
yeah.
more. Before we had kids.
Yeah.
And I just, because my wife was quite into Cat Empire at that stage, and I'd heard it get played around the house, and it was her birthday, so we went to this concert, and I just thought it was fantastic.
Actually,
Everyone was up dancing, and we were up in the tiers,
Yeah.
whatever you call it, up the top. It was great, man. Loved it.
They put on a serious show, those guys.
Wicked, yeah.
And it's
they all-
different every time. It's
right.
not like they don't just play the CD.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, Ross, one of the trumpet players who I'm really good friends with, he's actually been responsible for a few of the recommendations behind some of these bigger gigs.
Oh, okay.
Where, I think he sort of put in a good word for me.
Right.
He's helped out a lot, I think, in that regard. So thanks, Ross.
Cool. Wicked.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go back to my earlier question before I mentioned the Cat Empire. So when was that?
That was 06.
Yep.
Yeah, 2006.
Had you done anything else apart from...
I don't think so. No, that would have been the first really big outside of school thing, other than that James Morrison thing, which ended up happening every year. But, yeah, I think that was massive, other than community events you play out with things. And
Yep.
Yeah, that was definitely it.
All right. So when did you start getting calls for other stuff?
I reckon bigger things. As I said, it's been really random. So the next biggest one, I think on that, on a big level like that, was probably Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That's still probably the biggest single concert I've done. I think that was 80,000.
Right.
Yeah, about 80,000. ANZ.
Yep, that was at Homebush.
Yeah, ANZ Stadium.
ANZ Stadium, yeah.
And that one, yeah, I booked the rest of the horns for that too.
Right.
So that was a serious learning experience in the business too.
Right.
It's
a different tier.
Oh man, you're dealing with the management of Taylor Swift, and I was 25 or something, 24. Okay, I don't want to be taken advantage of, and I don't want to undercut anyone. And so I did my research and called around all the people I know that play with like people. So I called like Daryl Beaton, Kevin Mendoza, who do like Jess Malboy, and I'm calling all these sort of big MDs going, hey, I've been got this call. And but yeah, that was just being involved in the process of actually booking something like that. You know, who do I get? Because, you know, everyone wants to be on that gig, right?
Yeah.
And I have lots of people to thank for that gig too. I think there was a few recommendations from some people for that one too, and that helps a lot, I think. Yeah, and I've never gotten, like, these things haven't just come off my own back.
Yep.
There's always been, you know, people putting in a good word, which is I'm very thankful for. Yeah, that was huge. And that was so big because I'd never even been in a stadium that big before.
Oh, right, not even to watch a game or something? Or?
Not that big. No.
Yeah, right.
No, so I didn't even know what it was like to be around 80,000 people, let alone 80,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs. That's the first thing I remember when we walked. We kind of, because we played at the end or toward the end, and we walked out into the stadium just like watch a bit, and it was deafening. I've never heard anything like it. Blew my mind. I was just looked around, and it's the scale of it is just, I couldn't even comprehend it because I'd never, like you said, I hadn't been to the footy or anything like that in a venue like that. So I was just looking at it going, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, right.
Took me a minute. But also, I don't know, I was just on this level of taking it all in. Like I knew it was going to go real quick and I knew it wasn't going to last very long. So I was just like taking everything in. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's massive.
That was huge.
Did you get to meet, did you get to rehearse?
Yeah. So
with her in the band?
Not with her, no, just mainly with the musical director, just running the arrangements, and they were changing and stuff. And then just sound check, do a few sound checks, and it's gig time.
Wicked.
Yeah.
How do you come down from that? That's awesome.
Yeah. I'll tell you how I came down from that. That gig was on a Friday, and then, we went for some, the horn section went for some celebratory beers or whatever. And then the Saturday, I had a sleep in, packed my PA into my car. I drove to Rose Bay and got to Dunbar House, this wedding venue, where they have super, super strict noise conditions because lots of rich wankers live there. And then the lift was busted. I got my whole PA out of the car. I got my big QSC subs, and I remember they're like, "Oh, sorry, mate, the lift's broken. You're gonna have to use the stairs." I remember grabbing my sub, and no one was there to help me. I'm carrying it up the stairs, thinking to myself, like, "Man, you don't know who I thought I was yesterday. Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Someone should be carrying this."
Yeah, that's right.
Where's the guy?
Where are my people?
Where are my people? But that came, and then there was some manager on my back all night about the trumpet being too loud, and I remember just thinking like, "Oh well, that was nice while it lasted."
Yeah, right.
So Sydney though.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't think you're not allowed acoustic instruments at that venue anymore. You can't play trumpets or live drums.
Right.
Got to go through the house system. Man.
Shit house.
So many rich people hate music, eh?
Yeah, it's not good, eh?
Yeah.
I know you've been pretty vocal on the whole lockout laws thing, and your the song and video you did is great.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And I'll put a link to that in the show notes so people can check that out.
Yeah.
Now that the lockout laws have lifted somewhat, what's your take on things now?
I think it's a really good first step.
Yep.
And I remain positive that it can change, but I think it's going to take a bit of time.
Oh yeah.
I just think it was left for so long that I don't think it takes long for a culture to change, and it changes relating to what the environment's like at the time. So if people stop going out to the city because it's then nothing's open and it's too much of a hassle, I think now people are probably hanging a bit closer to home. Like there is 75% less foot traffic in the cross, So I think people change their habits and do different things, stay and watch Netflix or go to the local pub. So I think it's going to take a bit of time to shift just those habits which have changed over the years of like No, it's too expensive and there's not much point, and you can only go to the casino, you know. But I remain positive, and actually last night there was this incredible gig at Lazy Bones for Bushfire Benefit.
Yep.
75 of like Sydney's best, most talented musicians all donating their time to raise money for this thing.
Yep.
And I think I got there at 6:30 and was there till about 12:30. Some of the greatest music I've heard in ages.
Yep.
And it's a nice thing to just reminds you how much incredible stuff's going on, but also makes you feel like, oh man, we need to get back to this, you know, like Daryl Beaton and the D1 Cartel were playing.
Yep.
It just took me back to like whatever year it was when they had a residency at the Civic, and you'd go in and it's like sweaty, jam-packed of Brazilian backpackers and musos and like randos in suits, and everyone's just having a great time and dancing and the Mac, remember the Mac?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like all those venues where I feel like that's the important stuff we've lost that really helped the community bond, because in Sydney, like, it's hard to get around and people live far out or whatever. So I think it's important to have those places where people finish their gigs and all end up at the same place, just you know, having a wind down and chilling out and getting up and jamming with each other. And I think we miss that. I miss that. I miss that a lot. That just those spaces, those sort of.
There's still a couple of them, isn't there? Like
don't get me wrong, like
Rabbit and Rascals and Frankie's. And
and even like obviously 505 up
Yeah.
until recently, like Cam and you know, there's so many venues that have pushed through so much shit to stay afloat, and like massive props to them. I'm not getting down on them at all.
Yep.
I think it's incredible, you know, to not just give up against literally all odds. You know, even opera bar, like sometimes people get a bit down on the conditions because you've got to play quiet or whatever, but I think it's incredible that they've even kept live music going there against all odds. Like I said, like when it gets to such a ridiculous point of just over-enforcement, to be able to go, no, this is something we really want to do and we really want to support it. I think it's great that people have done that. Otherwise, we'd be in serious trouble. So, but I think it'll bounce back. It'll just take a minute. Well, hopefully, we just need to change attitudes, like, and do what Melbourne did. You know, if you move next to a venue that's done music for 50 years, like, piss off. If you don't like it, move somewhere else or get double glazing. It's kind of on you, isn't it? Common sense. You don't do it with anything else. It's like moving next to the airport and saying, oh, you got to stop the planes now.
Yep. Ridiculous.
Too noisy. Anyway, but I think it'll bounce back. And on the flip side, I've seen a shift in like what's been happening in the local scene. I think there's a lot more people sort of working their home studios and like making really good music and you know, shedding and getting together and jamming, and it hasn't destroyed anything. It's just a bit harder to find at the minute. Yeah. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'd love to know where Mike Baird is. He disappeared real quick. Haven't
Didn't
heard
he?
anything from him.
He went back to the bank, didn't he?
Yeah, the most corrupt one, I think. Funny. Anyway.
Maybe there's another song coming, Dave.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, we reckon.
Thoughts and prayers.
That's a great video, man.
Yeah, that was born from a very, very deep place of just frustration.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, anyone who knows me, I can be a little bit political at times, but that was just like, man, it was having a serious impact because, as you said, I do these DJ gigs and stuff. So I'd done my degree at the con and was getting gigs and trying to be a professional musician, make a living from it. That's what I wanted to do. And so, you know, I lost a lot of gigs and a lot of income. Like it gets to a point where it's like, you know, you're not stopping people from partying. This is my life. Like this is my job. This pays my bills, and it's government enforced. Like there's no other area where, do you know what I mean? Where the government says, no, you can't surf anymore. It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But it's all good. You adapt and change, and I think it's another thing that I've had to do. You just kind of go, oh, well, can't do that thing anymore, but find another thing that I can do.
Which you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
That's something I've always wanted to do lots of everything anyway. Some cats don't want to, you know, they don't want to do the nightclub thing, or they're not into that. That's cool. But I've always just wanted to make a living, making music, making people happy, making people dance, getting on the party.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now you've put together the horn section.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So to be completely honest, that was born as a result of probably that Taylor Swift gig
Okay.
more than anything, because that was a section I was playing with almost weekly at the Monday Jam, which at that time was at Ginger's on Oxford Street and run by Danny G and Paul and Noel and Marcello and all these Nick Jeffries. And we were kind of like the unofficial house band horns. Like we'd rock up every week and play horn lines to whatever was happening and make up horn lines on the fly. So we got pretty tight knit together, and it was a good section. And so when that gig came up, that was like they were the people I was playing with all the time, and you know we had a really nice organic vibe together, and it was really tight. So I put them on the gig, but before I organised it all, I thought we need to make ourselves look like a real thing because we weren't a real thing. We were just a bunch of dudes jamming. So I quickly just came up with a throwaway name and built a really simple website and put
It's an original name, man.
Yeah.
The horn section.
Well, you know, no one else owns it. No one else owns
It's unbelievable, eh?
No. I kind of thought, what's so simple that no one else would have thought of it? And if someone's going to Google the horn section, you know, like I need a horn section in Sydney.
Yeah.
But I basically just made that whole thing of branding so that when they said, who's the section, I could send it off and it looked like a real thing. It wasn't just like a couple iPhone selfies or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's why that happened, and yeah, kind of just lives in its own entity now.
I think websites are still important, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a really stupid thing to say. But
I know what you mean.
What I mean by that is
like musos having
artist music, and I find with my podcast too, I try and point everything to the website.
Yeah,
all the episodes are there, all the links to all the different episodes. You know, all the different types of apps you can listen to the podcast, and it's just all in that one. So it's just easy to do it that way.
You can see it all,
and it looks professional. I think, you know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think just about every one of those big gigs has come through my website mail interface.
Yep.
And I think that's important too. Like for something like that, first thing someone's going to do is Google you.
Yep.
To make sure you're not, I don't know, Darrow or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if the first thing that pops up is a Facebook profile, they're going to go,
yeah.
Hey, they're going to want to look for something a little bit more professional, eh?
Yeah. Or at least they want to see, you know, they want to see that you're active, I think. Or, you know, if you can't find someone, they're going to be maybe a bit concerned if there's not one video of you playing or one song of you playing. Or,
Yep.
But like, I think the bio helps too. Like, having done a few bigger things now, you know, the bio helps, I think, full circle that situation as well, because then if someone else is looking, they read it and they go, oh yeah, he's done this and this and this. But
it's also nice to see info on the individual members too. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, the horn section.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
they're legends. Jimmy Garden's gone back to New Zealand though. Back to the motherland.
I did have a fair bit here to ask about the actual trumpet itself.
Yeah, go nuts.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one who probably has questions regarding trumpet, and it's not the first instrument people think of when they think of pop music or rock and roll. And was there a specific trumpet album, like a cornerstone album, for you?
I think there's been a few moments, like transitional moments that led to overall sort of checking out of things. I think like in primary school, that first James Morrison album blew my mind because I was a kid playing trumpet and I was like, what? You can't do those things on this. I've tried. I can't do it. And so that blew my mind and kind of opened my ears as a young boy who grew up listening to Triple M and Johnny Farnham and, you know, like rock and roll. And then high school, obviously, like I've always really probably been more inclined to, and this is such a personal thing, but like things that really make me feel something or really feel good, like Basie Live at the Sands with Frank Sinatra, just like swings so hard. That makes me froth. Like I love that album.
Yep.
But then I went through like a massive, and still love it, but like I remember my granddad used to buy me like all these Louis CDs, and I didn't really get it when I was younger. When I was 16, kind of crappy recording quality. You just couldn't really get into it. But a little bit later, maybe 18, I found a drawer full of them and Best of Louis, and I put it on and like sat and really listened and was like, oh shit, this is like real deal.
Yep.
And so I really got into like a big Louis binge.
Yeah, because Louis was the man, eh?
Oh, king.
Yeah.
Pops, man. He's the man. But he's one of those people that really makes me feel something. You know what I mean? Depending on what the song is, and it's just like so real and raw and so much emotion. And Chet Baker, I always really dug Chet Baker too. Went through a big Miles binge for a while as well. Definitely always personally been more into like, I guess, the melodic sort of less complex side of jazz. Mm-hmm. Like I love bebop, and you know, I think it's incredible, but probably a bit more of a smooth cat. Yeah, gotcha. I guess, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like I said, Chet and Louis and back to the basics sort of stuff.
Yep.
Maybe because I can't play bebop very well.
Now, from a physical point of view, technique point of view, is there anything you have to particularly maintain? Because I don't know how to blow a trumpet. I can kind of blow a didge.
Yeah.
Does fitness play a big part? Is it in your lungs? Is it in your cheeks?
It's all about air. I don't know.
Yeah,
fitness. It probably does. You know, like probably. I'm sure it must, because it's all about air.
That's not a dumb question, though, was it?
No, it's not.
Yeah,
no, it's a good question.
I'm just asking it from somebody who doesn't play trumpet.
The fitness question's interesting because I'm like, I've never really thought about it, but I mean, it must. Like if you smoke a pack of cigarettes every day and play the trumpet, you're probably not going to have as good of a time as if you don't.
But Miles was pretty loose, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I don't know if did he smoke cigarettes? Let me Google that. You keep talking.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google.
I'm sure he did.
I'm going to Google it.
He smoked crack. I'm sure he smoked cigarettes.
He
Motherfucker.
did.
I think, to be completely honest, I've always been fairly lucky in that once I got really into the trumpet, it's always come quite naturally in terms of maintenance and, I don't know, like staying on top of the horn without sounding like a wanker. Do you know what I mean? It's just I know that some people have to work really hard at some things, say like a range, for example. Like some people have to work much harder to get high range on the trumpet and play high, whereas I kind of picked that up in high school pretty easily. And I don't know if that could also just come from the fact that I was playing so much all the time, you know, because that's another thing. I've always had naturally quite a lot of stamina. Like I don't tend to burn out on the trumpet. And I can't really put that down to anything, if I'm honest. You know, I'm not going to pretend like I do 5 hours of practice a day or anything, you know. So it's always been like that. And I can pretty much play forever, you know. Like,
yeah, right.
I think I said the longest gig in the world, I did like
26-hour day or something.
Yeah, I think I played maybe like 15 of those hours or something.
Jeez, it's massive.
Yeah, I did do the maths. It was something crazy.
Miles did smoke.
I bet he did.
Despite his anemia. And I think it's common knowledge that he was a heroin addict.
Yes.
And he stopped using heroin before his comeback, which landed him a recording contract.
Yeah, I think that's around where he started painting. And
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Oh, well, he was pretty good at the trumpet. Maybe I should take up smoking.
Now, I mentioned earlier about Dizzy Gillespie's cheek.
Yeah, I got a photo of Diz on the wall.
I'll
show you after.
Is it both sides?
Oh, in this photo it is.
Right.
Yeah, he looks like a bullfrog.
That's it, eh?
It was gifted to me from a cousin in Florida. It's just taken from this big jazz festival over there. It's an original.
Right.
And he kind of brought it over and I was like, oh, heavy. It's like a proper original photo
massive.
of Diz, yeah. And his cheeks are like big bullfrog. And it looks like, you look at it and it doesn't make sense. Like, he doesn't look human. It's almost like a caricature.
I'll put a link to a photo in the show notes, people. So look for,
Yeah.
if you don't know what does Gillespie's cheeks look like,
He
check
just
it
blew
out.
them out.
Just
Those
blew 'em
dudes,
out, yeah,
they were
right.
just playing so much.
Because when he wasn't blowing, he just looked normal, eh?
Yeah.
It's a normal face. And then
I believe it's all the like the tendons and muscles are actually torn, like stretched from overuse.
oh wow,
So I think it's, I guess, like,
they just let go.
yeah, like almost, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah.
not ripped off the bone, but they're all
I
so
understand,
stretched.
yeah.
That, like someone who's been really overweight and loses lots of weight, it's like you can't get the skin stays stretched. I think
gotcha.
it's a bit of that vibe in his face. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys didn't have a good go, did they? I mean, Chet Baker got gutter stomped. Do you know about that?
Right. No.
I think he owed some dudes some money for some drugs, and he didn't pay up, so they knew he played trumpet and put his teeth on the gutter and stomped on his head.
Oh, what?
He says in an interview somewhere, he's like, what does he say? It's like, that was the biggest downfall of my career. It's like,
you think?
Yeah, no shit, man. You play the trumpet, you got no teeth.
What? Oh, okay. So on that,
Yeah.
explain to me why it's so important to have teeth to play trumpet.
Well, I mean, that's what the mouthpiece rests on. Right?
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
behind your lips are teeth, so I guess it kind of keeps everything in place. I'm not
Right.
sure if you can play with gums. You'd have to ask Chet. But I think he got he got teeth put back in,
Okay.
I believe, and like relearnt to play the trumpet.
Oh shit.
Some people like him better post gutter stomp, I think.
Far out.
Pretty hectic.
That's heavy, man.
Yeah, I know. That was the big
Yeah.
my first major setback of my career. Yeah, no shit.
That's cold.
I'd be worried if it wasn't.
Yeah.
But no, trumpet, yeah. It's a bitch of an instrument, kind of.
Yeah. How many trumpets have you got?
Well, I've never sold a trumpet I've owned, except for one. I bought a piccolo trumpet from someone, maybe Tim Crow. I bought a piccolo trumpet and then had it for a little while, and then Simon Sweeney was selling his better piccolo trumpet, so I sold that one and got another one. But other than that, I've never sold any of the instruments I've ever owned. So I've got the first trumpet I ever played, which was a Yamaha James Morrison model that my grandparents bought and my parents bought me for Christmas. And that was another reason I really got into it. I think I kind of got my own instrument.
Okay.
Used to busk every day at the Kaima Blow Hollow or the holidays.
Yeah, right. Awesome.
Yeah, I've still got them all, every one.
So how many?
It's got to be like 10, I think.
Okay.
Plus like flugelhorns and piccolos and things like that.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Including one insurance job that they never asked for back, which is kind of weird. So that's up in the cupboard too. Not an insurance.
They're probably listening and
probably.
you're going to get a call.
Well, to be fair, I did drop it. It got
yes,
it got
yes,
damaged.
I can confirm he dropped.
I did drop it. It got damaged. It was no longer in professional. I told them what happened, and they said, yeah, no worries. But they just never asked for it.
Right.
Still up in the cupboard.
Is there a go-to trumpet?
Oh, that's so personal. I think it's like
Okay.
like drums or guitars. Like, I mean, right now I'm playing these Tembe instruments. So Dave Tembe owns Tembe instruments.
And you're endorsed?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
endorsed by
them.
them, yep.
Should say that.
Yep.
I do, but I bought them.
Okay.
Paid for them, just in case anyone's wondering. Genuinely just love them. I went down to Melbourne and met Dave and Matt Tubman I was talking to is another great lead player. I checked his out and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I've always dug supporting Aussies and, in any way you can and local businesses. So I went down and met Dave and we had a chat and he asked what I want. And I was like, well, Dave, I want...
I've been thinking about this for about 15 years.
Yeah. I want a trumpet that will sizzle through the middle of a big band, and sound like a Mack truck. And then, when I put my other mouthpiece in, I can sit in a small group and sound like Chet Baker and be all fluffy and pretty. And he went, right. Well, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to give it a go. And if you don't like it, no harm, no foul. So we did. We went down to his shop and he had 30 different trumpets of his and I played them all and I'd make notes about each one and what I like, put a number on each one. And he took all this information and went, okay, you seem to like this and you seem to like this. You don't seem to like this. And basically took all these things in and then came up with this trumpet, and I played it and went, yeah, man.
And that was it?
And I asked, I got him to make another one too, just silver-plated, but it's the same thing. And I asked him what he did, and he said, well, you said you wanted it to sizzle when you're when you're giving it some, and you said you want it to be really mellow. So I put a bigger bell, a slightly bigger bell on it that flares early. This is a bit nerdy, but I think...
No, this is cool. I'm fascinated. I'm sure there's other people that are too.
So there's a big bell, and we went around like flicking bells in his warehouse, heaps of bells, until we found one. I was like, oh yeah, that rings nice for me and what I want to do. So it's got a bigger bell, early flare. So that's the mellow kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So when I'm playing, it's going to have this big, broad sound. And then he said, but then I had to work out how to make it sizzle. And obviously part of that's through the mouthpiece. When I put a smaller mouthpiece in, it's naturally going to be a bit brighter or whatever. But what he did was he put the bell back on the lathe and took out like thickness of the bell material to make it lighter. So in other words, when I'm putting lots of energy through the horn, the end of it's lighter,
vibrating,
more reverberant. Yeah. And so that plus a few other things that we tweaked on it, but it was quite a genius, simple idea. And he kind of said, "Now you're never going to find something that's going to do everything, but see what you think of this." And I was like, "It's pretty close."
Awesome, man.
And I love it. It's really it's got its own character, and I know it's put together by him, and I know there's something special about that. I was there with him watching him build it, and we were trying it out, and it's pretty special. I love them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, just on the dropped my iPad. Mutes.
Yep.
Can you go to that kind of detail with mutes as well, and go get custom made mutes, or just a mute?
You can, yeah. I mean, there's so many different mutes. Like you can go into like I've actually lost one of mine. Actually, if anyone knows where my copper Joe Rowell is dented, it's got my name on it. It's no good to anyone, but I've lost it. So yeah, they're expensive. I forgot. I lost it the other day. I went to buy another one. I was like, oh yeah, damn it.
How much?
Oh, maybe I think they're like $300 or something.
Jeez,
like enough, yeah, just for the mute. It's because they're the copper ones.
Okay,
they sound better, I think.
Right,
my opinion. But yeah, there's heaps of difference in mutes, and yeah, people prefer different things. Simon Sweeney got us on Aladdin. We all got into these solo mutes, SOULO, and they're really great. There's like a cup, a straight. I think they have a Harmon now too, and a bucket, and they just play really in tune. So it's
okay.
They sound great, and if you're on a show in a section, it makes it super easy because usually that's half the battle is like 4 dudes with different mutes all trying to blend as one. And
right,
yeah,
it's really fascinating, eh?
Yeah,
yeah. That's why I wanted to ask these questions because yeah,
no, totally.
Was driving my daughter home from swimming yesterday, and stuck in traffic, so I found this YouTube clip. I can't remember what I typed in, but anyway, this guy came up and he just started talking a little bit about the history of the horn all the way up, So we were in the car for about half an hour in the traffic, and they're talking about the fugal horns and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, like in the conical French horns, like the originals.
All that stuff, and then up to the really long trumpets. And then we're having dinner, and I said, my friend's coming tonight for interview. And my daughter goes, oh, who's coming? I said, his name's Dane. He's a trumpet player. And she goes, is that who we're listening to in the car? I said, nah. But she was as fascinated as I was hearing about all these trumpets and they get the sound and
it is
the
crazy.
Vibration and, oh, man.
It's like a science.
Totally.
Dave does all sorts of weird, like he's got this one that's diamond encrusted down in Melbourne that he just was like, so it's a brass trumpet, but he's coated it in diamonds just to see how it would sound, like micron, not real. No,
I was going to say,
like tiny little micron. It's like a powder. It's black actually.
Oh right, okay.
But there's the other thing he does, which is pretty interesting, cycroline. So like if you bend metal, there's all these tiny fractures on
Yep.
on a, what do you call it, level? Micron? No.
Oh, less than
molecular,
microns.
on a molecular level,
yep.
yeah. And so obviously to make a trumpet, you're hitting metal and bending it and bashing it around.
Yep.
And so he's got this cycloline thing that he does with his horns where basically it super cools and then rapidly
Yep.
warms up the metal. It doesn't get really hot, but it gets really cold and just goes between it rapidly. And what it does is slowly bring all the fractured molecules kind of back into place.
Case hardens,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly, yeah. And so then essentially making the metal as if it were original,
Right.
reverberant
Yeah.
self.
Taking all the impurities out of it.
Yeah, and just, that was super interesting, I thought.
That's cool.
Yeah, it makes sense too. It's
It
one of those
does.
things like, oh yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And that would give you a consistent instrument too, wouldn't it?
Oh, I'm still on the other end of it. So.
All right. Okay. Because if you had, again, just thinking and I have this picture in my head of a trumpet being made.
Yeah.
If you had a trumpet, maybe a modern day trumpet, a cheap modern day trumpet would be made from inferior metals, and it would. I can't imagine it being sounding consistent. It's like cheap cymbals.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, but then you got someone like, if a professional jumped on a crappy horn like that, they're going to make it sound good. But the reality is that, they're not going to play it by choice. It's going to be,
I understand.
It's going to be hard work, or, you know, if it's, like you said, if it's really crap metal, it's not going to hold a lot of sound. You're going to have to, it's all done with vibration. So if the metal's really dense or shit and it's not vibrating
But
properly.
that great player might have a different way of holding it to make it work.
Yeah. Or you just got
That's
to work.
fascinating,
Just
man.
got to work harder, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a weird. I mean, like, it's kind of weird when you think about it. It's like, oh, what do you do for a living? I'll blow into a piece of pipe? I don't know. It's pretty strange when you break it down to like the micro level.
Yeah, that's it. All right, that's cool, man. Thanks for sharing that stuff with me. It was like a lesson.
Nah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's
I
really
like talking
cool.
about it too.
That's great. Let's talk about some of the other gigs that you've been involved with. Now, tell me about the Ministry of Sound Orchestra.
Oh, that was cool. So that was like that was at the Opera House, and they put together a big orchestra, and we just played all these hits of Ministry of Sound, which had been arranged for string orchestra, and just did
From the old annuals.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I think it's not just one album or anything. Like, I think it's just,
okay.
you know, there was a bit of Pete Tong in there and like all these, you know, all the hits kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And they put it all together and then featured all these singers, you know, like Connie from Sneaky Sound System got up and sung one of them, and Ilan from the Potbellez got up and did one, and like featured all these classic sort of electronic music, dance music acts, and that was pretty epic.
That's cool.
Watching the Opera House turn into a dance party.
Yeah.
It's definitely right down my alley. But it's funny because you got like some quite serious orchestral like string players on the other side too,
Right.
being all very serious, and I'm over here going, yeah, this is sick. It's a big party. Like, I love this shit.
That's great. Yeah. You played with Tim Minchin last year.
I did, yeah.
Yep.
That was another incredible. I reckon that could be one of the best things I've done.
Yeah,
so
right.
good. Just,
Yep. And Jack Housden was on that.
Jackie was on it. Yep. You had a podcast with him.
Yep.
Jack Housden, Tim, obviously, Sarah Belkner on keys and MD, Ben Vanderwall on the drums, James Hazelwood on the bass, Ben Girton on trombone, Matt Oddinyong on the saxes, and myself on trumpet. I don't think I've missed anyone. And an incredible touring crew of the best humans you've ever met.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was epic. And it was like 10 weeks around Australia and New Zealand. Like, Jack put it really well, actually. Jack Housden were on a flight one day, I think from Sydney to Perth or something, one of those long ones. And the Virgin lady was like, "Oh, you guys, you're in a band or something? Like, what are you doing?" And this is about 3/4 of the way through the tour, and we're all just having the greatest time. And Jack goes, "We're on a holiday masquerading as a theatre tour." And he couldn't have said it any better. Like, that's exactly how it felt.
Yeah.
We'd go do these shows, like these great shows, and Tim's such a genius and so creative, but then so lovely and generous with his time as well. Like, you know, go out and sink wines and talk shit and you know what I mean, and joke around. And yeah, he's a legend and such a genius. Like, quite an intimidating dude to be around sometimes.
Yeah, right.
His brain is just, you can see, going 100 miles an hour all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, that was it. That was awesome. Sold out tour, and we were doing like 6 nights at the State Theatre or whatever, and 6 nights at the Palais in Melbourne. Like pretty big venues, sold out. Every show was sold out. And we did New Zealand as well. And then, everything was perfect, incredible. Mm-hmm. And on very, very suddenly and sadly on the last day of the tour, some of your listeners might have heard of Greg Weaver, who was doing front of house sound as well as tour managing and sort of stage managing, doing a lot of jobs very, very well. He tragically had a heart attack and passed away, which is just like, yeah, it was really heavy because we just, you know, I think the last thing I said at the airport was like, man, thanks for the most incredible 10 weeks. And he said, pleasure, mate, we'll do it again. Didn't even think about it, you know, and I went off and did a gig and got this phone call sort of halfway through that night. It was a Jewish wedding. They were smashing plates inside, and Ben called me and was like, man, I need to tell you something. I was like, what are you talking about? It's fucking really heavy. Very, very cruel. But yeah, certainly brought everyone together real quick to, you know, we just sort of went from cloud 9 fucking crashing back down to earth. And yeah, that was super tragic.
Sorry to hear that, man.
No. But we've got a comeback tour, like an encore tour coming up with Tim.
Okay.
So it'll be tough without Greg, but it'll be so nice to be back with everyone and sort of, because it's weird when something like that happens and you're all together. You can support each other and you're with each other or whatever, but we just all left, you know, and everyone was kind of already down and out. And then something like that happens blues and you're like, you can't even make sense of it all. But yeah, there's been some super sad losses in our industry over the last
we just had one last week.
Yeah,
Natasha.
Yeah. Super. Yeah, it's rough, but I guess the one nice thing you always see when something like that happens is how we've got a really good community in the music industry, and whenever it counts, everyone comes out of places you didn't even know, you know what I mean? And people you didn't think were even in town anymore, and everyone just shows up with full strength and solidarity and comes together. I think that's really, really beautiful. It's like a nice thing to see. Even the other night, like last night at the Bushfire concert, it's like, oh yeah, man, there's like such an incredible group of people. Yeah. Everyone's got each other's backs, you know, there's no, it's not really any bullshit or,
you also played with Hugh Jackman last year on this tour. How was that?
Man, honestly, it's hard. Like, it's hard to take it all in. Like, as a trumpet player of all things, it's not like there's a long list of tours to do.
Yeah,
and I've never really done them before. A couple here and there, but to get 3 seriously massive tours, like the Tim Minchin one, I was on cloud 9. I was like, this is huge. Like, and then that finished and you're doing the thing where you're trying to get yourself back to reality and thinking, oh, well, that was amazing. And like, you got lots of great memories, but sort of, you know, back to doing the weddings and corporates and making it work and making a living. And then similar thing happened where I kind of get asked by this booker from Melbourne to put together, to come and do Hugh Jackman. And I'm like, shit, that's huge.
Was that all of Australia?
And it was supposed to be New Zealand, but they ended up getting locals, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. There's only a couple of shows over there. Okay. So, yeah, it was all of Australia, 6 weeks, with a all-Australian big band and orchestra. It was something like some of the most incredible. Like, I got to sit next to Paul Panicki, who's arguably one of the greatest trumpet players, you know, on the planet, but to come out of Australia as well. And one of the loveliest dudes. And we just, man, that was school for me.
Yeah, cool.
Sitting next to one of your heroes or your legends, you know, and just trying to, again, take it all in, just like, man, this is cool. And then on the tour, on that tour, obviously, there was I don't know if you saw maybe not. There was like a moment where everyone gets a turn at doing a solo, but you don't know who he's going to call.
Oh, right.
So we knew it was going to happen. He said, I like to have a bit of fun, so there's this bit where we break it down and have a jam, and I'll walk around and I'll pick someone at random. You'll never know who it's going to be. Right? And so, you know, that doesn't scare me. Again, like I'm always all for it. I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, lots of fun. And so first night happens and everyone's really freaking out. First night. It's like everyone's sweating and Hugh's walking around the band, you know, just eyeing everyone off. No one knows who's. And the string players are proper shitting themselves because they're like, what do you mean a solo? Like, I don't improvise. I've never done a solo. Like, they're really free. They're sweating. And anyway, it's not me. But then after a few days, I think I became Facebook friends with the musical director or something like that, Patrick. And randomly he said, we hadn't spoken a lot, but he kind of came up and was sitting at catering. And he goes, so you're a singer? I was like, yeah, I sing a bit. How do you know that? Why? Like, why are you asking me this? And he's like, oh, no reason. But you're a singer. I noticed on Facebook. I was like, yep. Yeah, I sing a bit. Yeah. And he kind of said with a smirk, he's like, oh, maybe we could get you to do some singing on the show. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, kind of joke. Yeah, maybe. He goes, no, seriously, would you feel comfortable? I was like, still kind of half. I'm like, are we joking? I'm also terrified because you're the musical director. And he's like, yeah, no, yeah. I said, maybe if it's something we organise. Like if I knew what I was doing, he's okay, we'll talk about it in Adelaide. So in my mind, we got maybe 4 or 5 shows or something till Adelaide. So quietly in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I don't think he's going to pick me because I think I might have this like little thing going on with the musical director. We're going to organise this, like we're going to do a different thing. So I wasn't as nervous. I'm sitting there and it was maybe the 3rd night in Sydney. I'm sitting there with my arms crossed, genuinely pretty relaxed, like thinking, it's not going to be me. I'm doing this. We're organising this other thing. And he walks over and I'm sort of stitching up everyone else going, it's going to be you. It's going to be you. He walks up and he goes, hey, you going, Dane? Should have seen my face. I was like, shit. Because I hadn't, you know, normally I'd be sitting there going, oh, if he picks you,
what am I going to play?
Yeah. So anyway, he picks me. He's like, Dane's this trumpet player, whatever, yada, yada. He goes, Dane's going to seduce you all with the trumpet. Go and get him. So do a plunger solo. This is fine. I can do a solo. That's cool. It's like still a shock, but not too much of a stress. I do this trumpet solo and he kind of he's winding me up. He's like, come on, mate, come on. You know, wind it up. And to be honest, it had only been maybe like not that long. And I was like, oh, come on, give me a minute, you know. Give me a minute. I'm just getting started.
Yeah, spotlight's on me, man. Come on.
I was in my brain. I was trying to pace myself. I haven't got there yet. And he's like winding me up. So it's like, all right, and everyone, you know, claps or whatever. And then he goes, hold on. And immediately I'm like, oh, sorry.
You're allowed to swear.
Oh, fuck. Right. And he goes, hold on. And he turns to the audience. He goes, not many people know. He goes, Dane doesn't know this, but I might have Googled him before tonight's show. And not only is Dane, you know, a wonderful trumpet player, but turns out he also sings. And pulls a freaking microphone out of his pocket, standing right next to me, and I'm looking at him straight in his eyes, and he's looking at me, biggest smile, just going like, yep. Yeah, I think I'm out like you, motherfucker. Anyway, he goes, and so I was thinking, I bet no one in the Kudos Bank Arena has ever played trumpet and sung at the same time. And I'm going, oh, where are you going with this? And he goes, and so, you know, I reckon we should make that record. What do you think? And of course, like I said, I'm kind of up for anything. And at this point, you know, what are you going to say? Hugh Jackman's there with a microphone in your face telling everyone you can sing. It's like, well, I guess I can sing now. And so I'm like, yeah, righto. All right. And he goes, you want to give it a go? I was like, yep. Let me get my groove on. It's like, just like, give me a second. And so I'm thinking about what the hell I can do. It's just like a groove. I think I started singing It Don't Mean a Thing, If It Ain't Got That Swing, which just happened to fit over it and it worked kind of well. And then, again, it was one of those moments where I don't really remember what happened, but I remember it in full detail. And it just went from this point to me sitting in my chair and not really remembering how it happened. But I started, after I sung the head a couple of times, I started just playing. I scattered something and then played what I scat and then did the same thing and was going like, and played on the trumpet.
Oh, cool, man.
I was just doing call and response with myself. And he's kind of going like, what? Everyone's just not really sure what's going on, including myself. I get to the end of it. It all went I was pretty happy. Like it all just kind of hanging on by adrenaline, I think. I was like, put the trumpet down, just sitting there like, and he runs off and does the rest of the song and then comes up after and he's like, mate, that was awesome. That was awesome. What did he say? He goes, is there anything else I need to know about you? Like, you know, you're stealing the show here. Like, are you going to LA tomorrow? But he goes, don't tell me you can dance, mate. If you can dance, I am. He's just, he's stitching it up. And I go, just as a joke, like, I just go, nah, I can't dance. And I just said, I can do a mean worm though, you know. And his eyes lit up and he looked at me and I went, oh, fuck. I was like, no. And he looks at me grinning. He's like, yeah. I was like, nah. And he points to the front of the stage and he goes, who wants to see Dane do the worm?
No way.
And I'm going, there was one moment where I looked at him really seriously. I go, are you sure? Like, this is in the middle of the show. It's like 30,000
But you're up for anything, anytime.
I am, 100%.
Yeah.
So he goes, there was like just a second. I was like, are you sure? And he gave me the eye. I was like, yeah, yep. So I went down the front of the stage, took my suit jacket off. Again, this kind of just happened. I'm not sure how. I swung it around, threw it at him, and immediately thought, oh, shit, I just threw my jacket at Hugh Jackman. Probably not a way. He caught it, and I did the worm.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And then he threw my jacket back. I went and sat down. I think I missed half the end of the song because I was just sitting there going like...
Yeah. That's awesome, mate.
Oh, man, it was wild. I think that could be like... That's one of the like top 10 funnest, just funnest moments of my career. And Hugh is a friggin' legend too. Like, actually the world's nicest guy. Yeah. Actually, Noel Gallagher said on the last tour we were talking about, he goes, is he as annoyingly nice as he is on the telly? He just seems so nice. Just want to punch him in the face. I was like, yeah, pretty much. He's really nice. Yeah.
But you know he's Wolverine and he'll just chop you up.
That's
so
right,
shut up, Noel. You know?
No, he's really nice. He's a legend.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's talk, because I said at the start we'll come back to the Noel Gallagher U2 thing.
Yeah. God, it's a big year. So weird.
Yeah,
it's weird to hear. Even now, I'm like,
I mean, when you sent me I did see a lot of that stuff pop up on your Facebook as it happened. And I'm going, man, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you too, like...
it's pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys get to hang with those guys, or is it like a...
little bit. Just a little bit.
A little bit,
yeah. They keep them pretty like secure.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people on a tour like that.
I'm
touring
sure,
like...
I can imagine.
Maybe 200 people or something, just putting everything together.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a conservation specialist whose full-time job it is to, like, you know, no plastic cups, we have water bill. How do we save waste? There's like all these jobs that you don't think exist, and they're touring these people. And but yeah, we had an after party and a couple of chances to meet them. Super lovely. But it is next level. You can see how you know, we're rolling into hotels and there's like 30 people out the front ready, and you're like, I didn't even know where I was staying, you know, till I looked at the run sheet today. How do these people know we're staying here? And I still don't know that. I don't know. These super fans, they must just like put one at every hotel and then be like, oh, they're here.
Oh, right.
I don't know, but it's crazy. They wait there all night.
Yeah.
I went out to get some cocktails one night. It's like 1:30 in the morning. They're out the front with their posters, like hanging out. It's intense. Bit weird, but good on them. So people have their things. But yeah, that was that tour. First show was in Auckland, Mount Smart. Mm-hmm. We did 2 there. And so we flew over. I did a Melbourne Cup gig in Queensland, so I flew and actually I watched the documentary on the plane over, the Oasis documentary, because I thought, do a bit of research before I meet him just to, I don't know. I always do things like that. I think if you're going to be spending a bit of time with people, it's probably good to
I think it's a good idea.
Suss it out and know what not to say, especially with, cats like that. They've lived a lot of life and a lot of stories.
Absolutely.
And so I watched it on the plane and got a bit of an idea about who he was and I already knew it a lot, but
I get you.
Just to see from that personal level and stuff. Got to Auckland, met the lovely Carl Mackey for the first time, and he's a proper legend. It's kind of like, I'm at the hotel bar. You want to come for a beer? Yep. It was like, bam, just got along.
Awesome.
Sweetest dude, incredible saxophone player, great jazz player.
Right.
And just all-around nice guy. And, and then we met the bone player, did our first sound check / rehearsal.
Was Jeremy Stanley playing drums?
No.
Oh.
It was Chris Sharrock.
Ah, right.
Yeah. Chris Sharrock on drums. So he's one of the original drummers. I'm not sure which order, but I think maybe he was at the end of the band, toward the end.
Okay.
Yeah, But Gem, the original guitarist.
Oasis players?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Heavy.
Right.
And also Russ, the bass player.
Because I say Jeremy Stanley because he played drums in Noel's solo stuff.
Yeah. The original High Flying Bird stuff.
I'm not sure if it was that. Because I just thought...
Or just when it was Noel, maybe.
Just when it was Noel, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
I'll fact check that and then I might cut.
Yeah. Cut the rubbish.
Yeah.
But no, Russ, the bass player as well. He... Actually, that's a funny story. At one point on the tour, toward the end, Russ is like, what do you got coming up when you get back home and got anything interesting? And I was like, nah, man, just like back to weddings and corporates playing Valerie, the deal. He goes, Valerie? I was like, yeah, that Amy Winehouse tune. He goes, know it. I wrote it.
Oh, what?
And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, me and my band, the Zootons.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there going,
what?
Yeah, so like what I meant is like, it's a great song.
Yeah.
We played at weddings a lot. He's like, oh, that's all right, no.
Get it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I wrote it.
Wow.
My band. I was like, oh yeah, of course, it's a cover. Great.
Shit.
Just get my foot out of my mouth.
Mate, what are the odds though?
Oh,
I mean, seriously.
I know, but even just saying that, like I could have just said, oh yeah, just weddings and corporates.
Yeah. Oh man,
that was a good moment.
Yeah.
Actually, first day was pretty funny because Noel can be pretty hard to read and quiet.
Okay.
We arrive and obviously we're the only 2 guys there that haven't been there before because they've been doing that tour for 5 years or something.
Right.
So he obviously knows we're there, but he hasn't said anything to us all morning. And we get called for sound check and mic check and first rehearsal. And we start running the stuff and it's like 35 degrees in Auckland. Black stage, no roof.
Yep.
We're cooking. And
New Zealand sun's brutal too. Yeah, look.
Proper hot. And like you can feel it
burning your skin.
Yeah. And so I think we played we're supposed to run the whole thing. We played a few songs. He's just like, fuck doing this. I just walked off. Oh no, he goes, fuck doing this for 2 hours. And just walks off.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just kind of shrugs like, yeah, probably normal or whatever. And me and Carl are like, is that it? We just turn the bone player, we're like, is that it? And he's like, yeah. I was like, no more rehearsal? Nah. Cool. So the next time we played together was the gig.
Right.
And it was all great. Everything was cool. We'd all done our homework, but
Yeah.
it was just funny. And then, I mean, after that, we bumped into him. He kind of comes up and he's like, what's your name? It's like, Dane. Fucking Dane. Dane. I've got my hand out, by the way, like waiting to shake his hand. He just look at me. What kind of name's that? And I'm like,
You'd have to ask my mum that one, man.
that's what I think I said. I was like, I don't know, like, Great Dane, you know? And he's like, Dane. I was like, yep, that's my name. And then I just went, well, nice to meet you, Noel. He shook my hand. He's like, yeah, nice to meet you, mate.
Was he? Do you think he was stitching you up?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
he's a
good.
genius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
I think so. I think I found it hilarious.
That's cool.
And actually, a few of the band members came up and they're like, oh, like, that's like, don't be, I think they were worried I was going to be offended or something.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. Because I don't know, I'm not easily intimidated. I was just like,
cool.
looking at him. I was like, this is funny. I don't know what to do though.
Yeah.
And one of the band members was like, mate, he spoke to you. That's a long time. That means he likes you. He's like, if he spoke to you for that long, doesn't matter what he said. But you know,
Yeah.
that was funny.
That's cool.
But it's that sense of humor, like the Manx, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they have a really like, it's good. They're all just taking the piss out of each other the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a very,
Yeah.
very fun time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But pretty, a few, man, some serious moments on that tour of just like, we'd go off for a song and he'd be playing,
Wonderwall or
nah. Just pause because I should really know the name of this song. It's just blanking. Oh, Sadie can wait. No, it's too late.
Come by.
Oh, have your age.
Don't look back in anger.
There it is. Okay. So, yeah, a few massive moments of just like, yeah, we'd come off and he did Don't Look Back in Anger and just like, especially first show in Auckland, the loudest crowds in the world. You know what I mean? They're so loud. And that's not like 80,000. That's a smaller stadium. And it's so loud. You got the whole crowd screaming this song and you just, I don't know, I was there going like, man, these dudes are history. Like this is royalty, rock and roll royalty, the real deal.
Yeah.
And you kind of outside yourself just looking at this thing going, man, this is special. Me and Carl were just there, kind of had the nod. We're like, yeah,
Wow, man.
this is sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was great. Probably played however many shows it was. But again, just took it all in and we get wristbands and go like every night we'd go, or I'd go watch with Carl the whole rest of the show because once we do support, so we finish and then we're just free.
Yeah,
so
right.
we'd go out into the pit and I don't know. I never wanted to just go back to the room and sing beers. It was like, man, probably never going to be on a tour like this big ever again. So I watched every show from out the front, all of it. And it was mind blowing. Like U2, they brought it every night. Incredible. And that screen and the whole picture was like so clever. Just the way that they put it on with that, telling the story on this massive screen, making it less about them.
Yeah.
You know, in their older age or whatever reason, but it was just...
Because it was fairly minimal stage, eh? Just the four of them.
Just four of them on the stage. And like you don't really see them, like they don't really project them that much during the show. It's like a giant piece of theatre and it's so clever. And especially in the age of screens, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone's...
Screens and in-ears.
Oh, man.
Hey.
Yeah. And it was so funny. You're out there and you're looking at this huge screen and all you can see is a sea of these tiny little screens everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, you're just thinking like, I don't know, put it down, just watch it. It's going to look shit on your phone anyway.
That's it. Like,
I get it. I get it. The first thing you want to...
Yeah. But, you know, I don't think people realise, like, when they hold that phone up, it's an audio podcast, but I'm holding the phone above my head and say U2 is in front of me.
Yeah.
Where are you going to look?
I know.
Are U2 in front of you? You're going to look at make sure you got your screen right.
May as well
So you're missing the whole fucking point of it,
I know.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But that, man, that was epic.
Yeah.
Oh, big year.
Yeah, man.
And the thing is, like, I think I told you earlier, I do a bit of teaching. I teach at a private school, which I love, and I really like teaching there. So it was a tough year because I'm trying to juggle everything without missing and letting down my students.
Yep.
And so...
Were you coming back?
On all of these tours.
Oh, wow.
We'd get maybe one day off a week and pretty much every city where it was possible, I'd fly back, teach my 13 students in one day from like 8 till 3:30, and then go back to the airport, have some free beers in the Virgin Lounge, and then fly back and it was a big year, and I did manage to make it work somehow. Even like 6 weeks of the Joshua Tree tour, I didn't miss 1 week of teaching. So
Man, that's awesome.
I don't like letting people down.
That's great, man.
Anyone. It's like kind of like what I was saying before. Like I really like teaching the kids, and obviously you want to go and do these big amazing gigs, but also, that's another part of my job and what I do, and it's a very important part. It's good to give back, especially with how much so many people have given to me over the years. So something I'm pretty passionate about.
Fucking cool story, man.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you in another 10 years. See what you've been up to.
It might be all the same, bro. You can put the
If you can fit me in, man. If you can fit me in.
It might be all over now. I think.
Yeah.
This might have peaked, surely.
Nah, never, man.
Honest, after the Taylor Swift thing, I remember saying like,
yeah, right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Can't do anything bigger.
Yeah.
This is weird. This doesn't happen. I'm going to take it in.
Yep.
Never expect anything like it. But I don't know, these crazy things come up, and then.
Yep.
But at the end of it, I'm always like, well, if it never happens again, I know that
you've had 3 or 4 lifetimes of it, man, almost,
I know. I rocked up. I played my ass, like I did the best I could. I practiced my ass off leading into it. Just did my job, hopefully showed up on time, hopefully didn't piss anyone off, you know.
Yep.
And took it all in and had a great time.
Yep.
Only missed one lobby call on the Tim. It was on the Tim Minchin. Last night of the tour, I had the party in my room. So
yeah.
The whole band and everyone came back to my room in this tiny little hotel room at the Star on the Gold Coast, I think it was. And this was the same night, the morning after I got my minibar bill was like $160. And funnily enough, it's not what you think it was. It was $160 worth of toasted cheese sandwiches that I'd ordered to my room for the 14 people that were in there.
Right.
And anyway, someone had kicked my phone charger out of the wall, as well as the fact that quite a bit of wine and tequila consumed and whatnot. And that was it. My phone went dead and I tapped out, and my alarm never went off, because I wake up for all alarms, you know what I mean? I never sleep through it. But my phone had died, so I was ruined. And then something like Michael managed to bang on the door. It was the last day, so could have been worse.
I'll let you off.
But I made the important people van.
Yeah.
So the crew vans had all left for the airport, and Michael's like, "If you hurry, you can come with us as a spare seat." So I'm in the back of the van between Michael, the manager, and Maz. I'm sitting there with my arms folded. And Minchin gets in and he goes, "Laboyrie, what the fuck are you doing in my car?" I was like, my phone died and I missed my alarm. It's reeking of the night before. But that was fun.
Yeah.
They were all very lovely and forgiving. That was, and Greg Weaver sent a message saying, "I've always wanted to leave a member behind, and I finally got to do it." I left 2 point whatever the percentage was of the brass section behind at the hotel. He goes, "I don't even feel bad about it."
Oh, man. That's awesome.
That was fun. Looking forward to the comeback. It's going to be so good to see Ryan.
That's great.
A couple of weeks.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And, like I said, you can add to your start of your 2020 that you're the first trumpet player.
First horn player or first trumpet player?
Horn player.
Hey.
On the Gig Life podcast.
Oh, well, mate, that's
fucking special. You know that, eh? It's pretty.
Oh, I'm chuffed. But, I've set the bar low. So, well, there's so many guys. So,
yeah.
There's much funnier people than me. That's for sure.
No, you've done well. It's been great.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
No worries, man.
It's huge.
Dane Laboyrie, thanks so much, bro.
Thank you for having me.
No worries, man.
And thanks to everyone along the way who helped me do all this crazy shit in this life, this lucky life I get to live. It's the dream. I get to make a living playing music, doing what I love.
It's awesome.
It's all I ever wanted.
Congratulations, bro. It's really cool.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Right.
Cheers, Dane.
See you, everyone.
See you, bro.
Romeo, Romeo, there goes your Juliet. And though you haven't met, some things you just know. Bang, bang goes the drum, beating through your chest. You've become a mess, and it's starting to show. One flick of your hair, I know you know I'm there. Trying not to stare, trying not to be rude. My heart's singing yes, but screaming no, no, no. I should let you go, but I gotta confess. You got me, yeah, I feel so alive. Sinker, baby, but I can't take another no or a maybe. You lit me up like a neon on black, shooting arrows with your eyes like you're under attack. And I'm here fighting wars with myself, 'cause wanting you is easy, but it's bad for my health. You took my pawn, a castle and king, nothing left to say, nothing left to see.